Hello there. So I've completed testing the Netgear Nighthawk AX6. So this is the AX4300 model RAX45 version. You can see it here. I hope they do a better way of naming all of these stuff that they have. So many numbers, it's kind of hard to easily figure out which is which. So this is basically sold as a WiFi6 6-stream Wi-Fi router. Oh yeah, so basically what I need is for a router to cover around 900 square feet. So that's 83 square meters, around that. So here it's around 900 square feet a unit, and I do live in a condo unit, so there's a lot of signals bouncing around here. And for this router right now, it's running at 141 at Amazon, so at the highest. So using the Honey app, basically I just checked the price. I mean, I'm not sure where the locations are for these, but the highest price within the last 120 days is 195, and the lowest was 129 basically. So at Amazon right now, I believe it's 141 last I checked. So this is pretty much that router here. Okay, so let's go through the menus, the performance, and then we'll conclude from there. Let's open this up. Netgear Nighthawk AX6. Okay, let's see. This box looks nice and big. So I'd prefer, hopefully, if it's not a big item, for them to have a more compact box for storage. Netgear, I'm not sure if they bought Linksys. It's been a while that I've followed the hardware companies and the components, but I think Linksys, or the blue one, long time ago, I had that router for like the longest time. It kind of wouldn't die. I've had it for how many years? And then I've been lucky with routers. Actually, the TP-Link I had before this one that I'm the Asus one that I'm replacing, I've had it for years too, and then slowly it kind of was losing connections and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of how you know they're kind of dying, when you're starting to lose connections. And then I replaced it with Asus, and I've had it since 2016, 2017, like I mentioned, and it's still going strong. I'll actually keep it for backup, for emergency. This, we'll see if this is the one I keep, or the Asus RT AX3000, or the TP-Link Archer AX55, but I will test with this one first. So suitable for up to 25 devices. Oh yeah, that should fit us. And let's see, so basically open it like this. Okay, so the item is pretty big, and let's see, what's this? So they have the quick install type thing. Okay, so June 2020, I guess it was built June 2020. I'm hoping this has the newest firmware. It just got the, let's see, what's this? Contact us. So you got the LED lights there, explanation, power LED internet, 2.45 gigahertz, USB 3, Ethernet ports. I won't be using the WPS button anyways. Normally I'll set up the channels like for the 2.4 and the 5, and then set up a password. So you got the router, antenna, so it comes with an Ethernet cable, power adapter. I do have my own Ethernet cable here, which is I believe a Cat6 certified ones. So those I probably won't use their cable. And okay, app. No, I don't like apps. I'm gonna go to the router and set it up from that end. Yeah, I don't think there's any need for me to get their app to set it up. I'd rather just log in, connect a computer, log in, and modify the the stuff there. So let's see here. Oh, it's not as heavy as it looks. I thought it'll be beefy, heavy, like, you know, but it's actually not. You got the network key here, the default network key, which of course I'll be replacing. We got this one. Okay, so we got this one, the plastic on. Oh, I'm wondering if I should. I'll probably take the plastic off to exhaust the heat, but probably sits here. So it got the preset settings for Netgear, which I will replace. I won't be using any of their default stuff here. If that's the case, Netgear 95, I'm guessing you could use the same ID for 2.4 and 5, I'm guessing, and then they'll just they'll connect you to whichever you're closest with, I guess, but we'll see. I'm gonna actually separate them out normally, so I will be using that. Actually, I'll just get that out. Oh, Nighthawk. It actually looks pretty cool. It's like a stealth bomber. Well, actually, routers are kind of looking like that now. Even the Asus one that I had. Let's see a gap, which is good for heat dissipation. Then I'll probably have a fan underneath blowing up, or I could have a fan. Let's see. Yeah, that might be the better way. Okay, so we have this here. Let's put that here. Sign. Then, of course, power cord, because we need some power. Power it up. Antennas. Actually, yeah, the box, they could have probably made it smaller with all of these spaces. So you have this one. Could have had the antenna somewhere here. And then cable on the side. You could have saved a lot of space in the box. Okay, now this kind of, where does this come from? Did this slide off here? Doesn't look like. Okay, so this is the antenna. 2, 3, 4. I don't remember taking anything. So this one, maybe this one's going on the antenna, but let me double check to make sure this isn't a used one. Okay, when I got the box, it was all covered up. It didn't say it was refurbished. Okay, so it shouldn't be used as far as I know. Okay, and then let's see. Here's the cable. Yeah, actually their cable is pretty nice. It's thin, but let's see. Is it the type? Does it say what type of cable this is? 2 feet. Okay, so it's a 5E cable. Yeah, it should handle. So Cat 5E, if you see it there, Cat 5E. So it should handle the gigabit speed. Okay, as far as, I mean, I'm not a expert on that, on what data can be transferred, but as far as I know, 5E should be able to handle it. I do have the 6 certified Cat 6s. So I'll be using that. This one I might actually use in for my printer connection. Well, actually, I think I'm using a flat one there anyways, because I mean it's a printer, so it just needs like a few data to print it out. So probably don't need any super certified cable to run the printer. So okay, we have this. Yep, they definitely could have saved space in the box. They have this cable, 4 antennas, and this one, and the troubleshooting thing and the overview. So that's it. Okay, no ports here. Buttons are here. So see that one? If you could see it, you'll see the Wi-Fi, I guess. So power lights. So WPS button, which I will not use this one. This one is on-off button for Wi-Fi. I'm guessing if you don't want any, which, and I guess this is good in a way if you kind of don't want it to be used when you're at home, and let's say you've got kids, you don't want using your Wi-Fi if you want them to be like studying for school, something like that. But I'm more, what do I need? Let's see, let's go at the back here. We're interested here. So my knee, yeah, USB port, gotta have that. And then 4 ports. This should be was it gig or 2.4? I have to double check that. Let's see. Let me read the blurb here that they have. So Ethernet ports, yeah, Gigabit Ethernet ports. So they're Gigabit Ethernet ports, and then the one that goes to your modem is here. So, okay. And then your internet port goes to your modem, power plug, and on and off, which is good. I think, I forget what, I think, yeah, the old ones, like back in the day, they didn't even have power ports, power on and off. And I think I remember it was the TP-Link that I had, I forget the model that had that, so that was pretty cool. So you got that on and off, and the antenna for your 4 antennas actually here. Side 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, let's put the antenna on and see how it looks. Then I'm using the internet. I mean, in the house basically. So I'm not really gonna test outside. So okay, there. Got the antenna there. There. Looks pretty cool. Look at that. Oh, there. The transformer. Okay. Yeah, let's get the Netgear. Okay, actually it's 585. Let's make sure it's right. 585 grams. So let's go to the interface of the Netgear Nighthawk AX6 router. You could actually find the router information and the router login on the bottom part of the router itself. If you flip it over, you'll see it there. And you'll have the default username and password there. In this case, you could even go to the old school. And then here, it's a default that's on the bottom part of the router. So, okay, so I suggest just following the URL that they give. But yeah, the 192.168.1.1 still works. So I already configured it and tested this, but I did do a reset. So we could go over here on generally how I would set it up. So generally, yeah, I just like to set and forget these types of devices, so I won't even get the app. So here, I'll be clicking here. I don't have a compatible smartphone. And then agreement. And then you'll get to this router login. They kind of make it easy for you, especially with this one. I think this was one of the quicker setup that I had to do. So I don't have it connected right now to the internet, which is fine. So I won't generally, they'll automatically, when you're plugged in anyways to the modem, it'll automatically connect generally. Okay, so here, I'll just put a Get her username and password. Just put in the whatever field since we're just going through the motions anyways. Okay. So this is using your new password because their default password is just password anyways. Okay, so now we're here. Never remind me again. I don't care about that. And then let's see. Okay, probably better to go to advanced. So firmware version. This is the updated firmware. If I yeah, because their admin didn't work properly. Their admin router update didn't work. So I had to do this locate file basic. So I had to, okay, router update. I actually had to get the file and load it here because they had a check and the auto part of their firmware update didn't work. So, okay, so let's just go back here on top again. So there's nothing set up yet. So if you have internet connection, your data will show here, and you see here, here's the reboot piece. So I don't think they have a scheduled reboot if I remember right. But yeah, so from here, I would set up my Wi-Fi basically, and then put values here. So you can see they have the default here already. Now, I can't remember if I did check these two. I did not select this one, so I had a separate 2.4 gigahertz band and 5 gigahertz band. So here you can see just the name, change it, whatever name you want to put in. And then here to select the fastest, change the name you want to put in. Actually, so I can't remember actually if I selected these two. Maybe I did. So after that, just click apply. And then it'll update. The good thing about this setup here, it's fairly easy. If I remember right, I didn't really have to do much. That was it. But then that's the thing, right? It doesn't have the auto reboot, and the firmware auto update from this GUI, from this interface, did fail. So to reboot, you have to either turn it on and off on the back part where they have the on and off button, or you have to go here and then reboot it from here. So either way, it's not as convenient as some other routers. So Asus has the auto reboot, and TP-Link also does have that auto reboot. So, and then USB function, basically if you want to use it as storage, but or a media server even, put a hard drive there. So I didn't go through that. I don't use it. I use the USB 4, like what I said, for the fans, basically to cool off the devices. So okay, set password, router update. Yeah, I believe that's it. So other than the router update, you can reboot the router here. And I believe even on the advanced, probably here, you could reboot the router from the advanced setup already. Or actually, yeah, I think I didn't go in the basic if I remember right. I just went to advanced, set it up, and then, okay, so you have the, I didn't even change anything here if I remember right. Yep. So, yep, I kind of just set it all up. And the admin, there is, yep, there is nothing here to use as a scheduler basically. And then that's it, pretty much. So that's the good part with this router is it's fairly easy to set up. On the wireless, that's pretty much it. I actually forgot if I clicked these two, I might have. But you could test that. Let's say you have them off and then run your speed test for a couple of times. Make sure you have the maximum speeds that you could select here. At the same time, just set your logins and make sure you have the updated firmware, of course. And then also there is the, okay, hold the light. Remember turning off the light from, okay, let's see, let's find that. Okay, LED control, here it is. So you have the LED control settings, then turning off all basically. So that's what I selected. Now, if you do a reboot, I'm not sure if they're gonna turn on. Actually, you know what? Let's do that. Let me turn it off. Now I'm gonna do a reboot, and then let's see what happens. So just bear with me for a moment. Okay, going back to the routerlogin.net. Okay, after the reboot, the lights are actually still turned off. So it's when it reboots, the light started turning back on, but when it loaded, it shut the lights off. So I believe this is so you don't need to turn it off again. So that's the difference with the TP-Link, which I'll show you the menu on that one when I'm done with it, and I'll be loading this. So basically, this one turns it off. So that's pretty much how I set it up when I was running it. And the only part that I can't remember is if I had the Wi-Fi set up. Basically, if I had these checked, I probably would have had this checked, but I just can't remember. But yeah, the easiest way to see if it helps is leave it as is and then run some speed tests, and then a couple of speed tests, give it some time, then turn it back on, run a few more speed tests, and then turn it back off just to confirm. So I hope this helps, and let's get on with the data. Okay, let's check the speeds I'm getting with the Netgear Nighthawk AX6 versus the old Asus router that I have basically. So the devices, like I mentioned earlier, or the previous video, I have the iPhone, which has the 802.11ac Wi-Fi with 2x2 MIMO, and then the Surface Pro uses the Marvell Avastar wireless AC network controller, and the work PC, which uses just the wireless Intel WiFi6 AX201 160 megahertz, and then the old PC, which is wired, so it has the Realtek PCIe Gigabit eFamily controller. So I'm not even, I mean, it's been there for a while, so I've never reached that speeds. And I tried to, I thought this time I'd be able to reach it with the old PC, but it doesn't basically. So let's go through the numbers. So here are the download speeds I'm getting for the Netgear. So 927 megabit per second for the Office PC, which is great. So the Wi-Fi 6 looks like it's maxing out or close to the max that I'm getting from my service to the router to this to my computer basically that has the Wi-Fi 6 network card. And then the iPhone, I'm getting 573 megabit per second. So that's still pretty good. The iPhone 2 gigahertz, I'm getting 73 megabit per second, and it's good. There's an increase, but I'm more concerned about the 5 gigahertz. So the 5 gigahertz near, this one's I was testing it at our kitchen, and then the far I was testing at the end bedroom basically. So I'm getting 300 megabit per second for 5 gigahertz, 63.44 for the 2.4. With the Surface, I'm getting 381 megabit per second. So I think because the Wi-Fi card for the Surface is probably a little bit older than the iPhone, that's why it's capping out around this range, I would say. And then the Surface 2.4, it's around a decent 52 megabit per second. And then the from the far area, basically the 5 gigahertz is getting 253 megabit per second and 47 megabit per second for the 2.4 gigahertz. So I have the numbers here to compare it with basically. So the only time the AX6 lost base versus the old router is on the old wired PC download speed, which is kind of odd. I'm guessing this is just because of maybe the old driver or the card itself. Actually, I was expecting, since it's wired and it's using the Ethernet cable that is rated at 6. So I would have thought it would get closer to the 1 gigabit speed, or at least try and hit it. But then again, it's an old card, and that's Realtek PCIe card. I'm not sure if maybe it's a driver issue or a chip issue, or maybe it doesn't have the latest, well, it's just old. I'm putting it there. I'm basing it there. So if you see here, the percentage change versus the old router, the Asus RT ACRH13 versus the AX6, you'll see on the PC, there's a 68.36% increase on the speeds. And then for the iPhone, it's actually higher on the speeds on the iPhone. So it's it's tapping to that extra bandwidth, extra chip, or whatever the latest Wi-Fi6 protocol that they have. So you see a 72.17% increase. And for the 2.4 in general, I think the 2.4 bandwidth is tapped out. There's a lot of 2.4 signals here, probably. It's the complex here. There's a lot of Wi-Fi signals going around. So other than the 2.4 being probably maxed out already, there's a lot of disturbance in the force of the 2.4 bandwidth, basically. So I'm only getting a 1.43. But then again, the old router is probably maxing it out already too, since the 2.4 gigahertz protocol, it's been there for a while, and it's an old one. And then for the iPhone, 5 gigahertz on the farther end compared to the old router, I'm getting a 52.34% increase. So that's a pretty good increase, I would say. I mean, the transfer, it's great. This router, the speed, I can't say, there's just, the speed is great. The increase in speed is great. So my goal is to try and max out the speed, and I'm getting it from this router. Now on the Surface, I think because the Wi-Fi card on the Surface, it's probably an older one. So if you see the 5 gigahertz on the near piece, on the near numbers, I'm only getting 9.39% increase versus the iPhone 72.17. So I would say this is because the Wi-Fi card on the Surface is probably not as fast or limited, and it's just it can't take advantage of the newer protocols of the Wi-Fi6, the MIMO, on whatever new stuff they have there, basically. So on the 2.4, actually you'll see a good increase versus the old router, 39.76. But then again, like I mentioned, we are on the 5 gigahertz band here. I know that they say the 2.4, it has a longer reach, but we're covered with a 5 gigahertz signal around our place. And then you'll see the increase too from the farthest area of the Surface on the 5 gigahertz. There is the 26.12, and on the 2.4 gigahertz, there is around 85% increase versus the old router. So even though we're not using it, if you have a lot of devices that use a 2.4, you could probably still see an increase with the Netgear Nighthawk, but it's not, I mean, it's already close to being tapped out anyway. So if you see here, you could see it's already 7, 52 to 63, 37 to 52. Percentage wise, it looks big, but on the value on the number side, it's not that big. But actually, there's what I notice is there seems to be a hit on the surface on the upload speed. So if actually you're keen on uploading stuff, you're keen on streaming, maybe uploading files, or you just or part of your work is uploading things, the 2.4 gigahertz it's taking a hit basically. So like I mentioned, though, I'm not really concerned about the 2.4, but if you're interested in it, you'll see that it's taking a hit here where my cap is 10 megabit per second. Here it's going down to 8 and 6. So, but other than that, the speeds are really good. The increase in speed versus the older router is great. So that's it for the speed piece. Okay, so basically to conclude, let's go with the bad and then the good. So this router right here, the bad thing is it's already 2022, right? 2022, but the firmware update is still it's still not polished. Basically, it did tell me that there's a new firmware. When I clicked the update button, it didn't update, so I had to download it and put it, and do it manually basically. And then the reboot, it does have a reboot, but you have to go to the GUI for that. It doesn't have a scheduled reboot. So I mean, come on, everybody's probably doing that now. So just make the firmware update smooth and easy, and then put in a scheduled reboot. For most people, that'll probably fix a lot of problems. And then also, if you're using a 2.4 gigahertz, maybe you don't need this one, right? Because on the 5 gigahertz band, it's just blazing fast. It's good. It's nice. Never experienced lag with it. And there's not much tweaking that I needed to do to enable it or to get those speeds basically, especially from my work computer, which has the latest Intel WiFi6 whatever card there is. And then if you have a lot of 2.4 devices, and or you don't have a way to take advantage of the high speeds, you probably won't need this. So yeah, and especially like for the price, right? I would have expected the firmware to be auto update for the price. And the reboot too, I mean, technically you could reboot it, but you imagine you have to go in it and reboot it. So you could pair this, I believe, with Alexa. I didn't try it. When I put stuff like this on, I just rather leave it alone and let it do its work. I don't need to tell Alexa to do something for the router, because I just expect it to work as a router. There also is an app, and I did not install the app, of course, so I'm not sure if that app would make it easier. But then again, why would you need an app if you just want the router to do a scheduled reboot and to do firmware? I can understand that maybe they'd want somebody to go in and confirm the firmware update, because sometimes firmwares, they're not always 100%. There could be some kind of flaws in some firmware, so maybe it's okay to update it when you just remember to update it. But the auto reboot, I'm not sure why I didn't add that in. But the firmware update on this router, though, I still had to do it manually, so they probably should fix that real soon. Okay, so the pros, actually, it's the easy setup of this router, the easy setup and the blazing fast speeds. So I just started playing games again, just not all the time, just right now I have Doom and CSGO, so I've been playing around, and it's fast. I don't encounter lags, and not only that, our streaming, never had a problem with that. We're getting to the 900 megabit per second, which is close to the 1 gigabit plan that I have. So that's great. That's my goal anyways, to get close to reach that speed, or reach it if possible. They do have the light control, so you could turn off the lights, and well, that's a good, right? So for this router, basically, if you want to have a WiFi6 router that you could maximize the speed, you should put this one basically as a choice to make. And it's yeah, that's it. It's a pretty good router, if especially if all of your or most of your devices are 5 gigahertz and they have the newer Wi-Fi chipset. And or if you're upgrading, so, you know, you could upgrade some of your like laptop Wi-Fi cards could be updated. So if you plan to do that, maybe you should consider this one. Though, yeah, going back to the bads, right? I mean, the firmware update, I didn't like that I have to manually do it. I mean, you know, for some people, it'll be easier to just update it. And for normal people at home, right? They don't want to really have to download it and then load it to the router. Basically, I mean, the router's there, the modem's there. If you have internet access, right? Come on, Netgear, you guys could definitely do it. It's probably, you know, just a couple of hours for someone there to fix this. But yep, speed and ease of installation and setup, it's easy. Though I didn't, just a reminder, I did not install the app. I did not install any of their other stuff, like whatever security. Let's see, in the box they were saying there's a security armor, Netgear armor. I did not install that. And parental controls, I don't have that too. I did not install that. So the app, the parental controls, and the armor, I did not install. So if you're looking for a router, so I hope this helps you decide which one to get. Thank you.